You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, when I'm watching games, OB, sometimes I'm in my head thinking, all right, this is what the show's going to sound like tomorrow. This is going to be the lead. This is going to be the that. This is going to be the this and that, right? Yesterday, I don't know how long it was, 10 minutes, 14 minutes. I hated the show. I thought the show was going to suck. I was going to talk about a team that they mopped the floor with A&M, 30-18, and I'm just angry. I'm just in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And then my homeboy, Ruben Dominguez. He says, Nuño, I got you, bro. You're going to have a great show. This show's going to be so good, you're going to start planning your tickets for the NCAA tournament because this team, in my opinion, not that I'm on the committee, I don't do committees, is in. They're in, OB. And thank you to that amazing run by Texas A&M yesterday.
I was glad to see that I was there to bear witness to Dominguez coming out of that hibernation, that bear hibernation.
Yeah.
Hey, how much money would Jack Moss have won betting on the Aggies last night?
Right.
If he's betting on anybody, he's betting on the Aggies. He should have been betting on Ruben Dominguez and Rylan Griffin on a side bet. You know, look, A&M needs, we all know this, they need to make three-pointers.
They made them.
They need to force turnovers.
They did it.
They need to get to the free throw line.
They did it.
And they cannot get dominated at the on the boards. They weren't.
There was a different, and it wasn't the first part of the game. I did not love the intensity to start from the team other than maybe Aggie, who just was a wrecking ball as he always is. But then, like, they lit a fire.
Flip the switch.
Right? And not only, it felt like when they started hitting shots, everything started to come together. I mean, they actually played pretty good defense to start. I think they had forced 3 turnovers early on in the game. And they just everything we talked about on the show yesterday. What do they got to do to win? Got to hit double-digit threes. Mm-hmm. Well, they hit 13.
Yeah.
You got to get some other guys involved. Rylan Griffin, Ruben Dominguez. Can you be a part of the game?
Yeah. And they were
huge parts.
They led the way.
Right? Clemens had a game.
Clemens came in with 3 threes in a row.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
So it was
Pop Isaacs with a huge three-pointer when in the second half when Kentucky looked like they were starting to gain some momentum. I mean, everybody stepped up.
Was it a 27-3 run?
27-2.
27-2. Okay. An incredible run.
Down 12 to up 12.
And it saved the season, Obi. The season, because if you lose that game and you get beat down the way it's felt, again, that's why there's 40 minutes in the game, not 9, not 10, not 12, right? It's 40.
40.
Right? I didn't think they were going to lose the game when they got up 19, but, I got the Aggie in me. There, I'm like, I got to keep watching. I got to keep watching. But this team, they just went back to the team we saw in January.
Yeah, they were. That's exactly what they were. They were the January Aggies. Hopefully those February Aggies have been put to bed. We don't see them again. But, they were the January Aggies. They were doing all the things they did in January that made them a team that was in first place.
Yeah.
And they played like a team that, could be a champion. And they did that despite some guys, well, I'll say it, because he would admit it, Rashawn Agee struggling at the free throw line.
Yeah.
He's usually a pretty good free throw shooter.
Yep.
And I think at one point he was like 3 of 8 or something like that. I mean, it didn't look, they won by what, 9?
Yeah.
Or was it 11?
It was 11.
11.
11.
So they won by 11. And it didn't even have to be that close. They made some boneheaded mistakes
Down the last 2
late,
minutes, yeah.
But that just goes to show how dominant they were, that they could make those mistakes and miss some free throws and still beat Kentucky by 11.
Are you like me that you're watching the first part of the game unfold? You're like, they're going to get their butts kicked.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
There was nothing in that first stretch of the game before the Ruben Dominguez three that made me feel like this team came to play.
Well, they started out pretty good. They'd give up a shot, but they would match it. It was like 7-6 or something like that.
But they couldn't cover the paint, remember?
And then it all started looking like it was falling apart. And I'll tell you how bad it was, because he's going to act like. So before the game, Luke was saying, I got this feeling that they're going to win this. So when it was like 30-18, I said, how's that feeling? He said, I don't. And then all of a sudden, this barrage of three-pointers comes out of nowhere. And then they're up, and now Luke is like, I had a feeling about this.
Yeah, of course you did. So that 27-2 run was actually, if you go even deeper into it, if you go into the first part of the second half, was a 44-11 run.
Yeah, it just kept on.
Just kept on going.
Well, I thought the second half, was really, I think we'd all say this is not like just this great revelation. But I remember thinking, man, they really need to start this second half strong.
Yep.
Because you did all you did in the first half to erase the 12-point lead. You got a 12-point lead at the half, and you can't just let that get away. And what happens, I think Aggie kind of muscles one in, gets his own offensive rebound and puts it back. And then you got Clemens with a three from the left wing, and then another one from the right wing, and then one from the corner. And next thing you know, they're up like 18.
Right. Buddy, they scored 96 points.
96 points.
Like, for this team to win, they got to be in the mid-80s. And then that's not the only way they win.
Well, typically.
But when they're in the mid-80s, they're hitting double-digit threes, and they're forcing turnovers that lead to buckets.
And taking care of the ball. Only 7 turnovers. Yep. And again, a couple of those didn't even have to happen. There was one play where, Pop Isaacs played really well, but the clock was their friend, and Kentucky had missed a shot, and he just goes flying in on a 3-on-1 and lost control of the ball, and you're like, just kick that ball out.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, he played great. He had like 8 assists. But what I'm saying is, some of the turnovers were just not even. They were self-inflicted.
Well, here's the thing, Ruben. If you're out there, you got to shoot, buddy.
Yeah,
you got to shoot.
Did you see the quote from
Bucky?
From Bucky about saying, if you don't go out there and shoot, take 4 or 5 threes, I'm going to sit you down and I'm not putting you back in.
Yeah. You're out there to hit threes, right? You're not out there to pass the ball. We got enough guys that can pass. What was it? He had scored 5 or fewer points in 7 out of the last 8 games.
Yeah.
Essentially a ghost, right? Like he was just a guy who was out there.
Where was he? I mean, we had seen him be so good, and all of a sudden he just kind of disappeared. Well, again, came out of that hibernation.
And it's not the only time we've seen him go on these little runs in a game that changed the balance of the game, where he'll score 2 or 3 threes in a row, and you're like, here we freaking go. And that was the difference in the game. That run gave A&M the confidence, and then they just didn't stop. They kept on attacking.
The trajectory. But, and he got it started, but we also got and we talked about him earlier, Rylan Griffin.
21 points.
I don't expect him to score 21 points all the time, but they desperately need him to be a factor.
Yeah.
More of a factor than he's been. Because when he is, even if they lose, it's usually like he had 17 in that game against Alabama, right? Where they lost, and maybe even Tennessee. So they're at their best when he's producing.
What did you think of the lineup?
I wasn't surprised that they changed the lineup.
He kind of hinted at it.
I was surprised that he went all in the way he did.
Yeah. Federico.
Yeah.
For those who didn't see it.
I think Marcus Hill was the only one that I was used to seeing start.
But it was like almost like his bench team started, right? Like Zach Clemens, Pop Isaacs, Ollie Deba, Marcus Hill, Federico. It's the first time in like 6-7 games that I haven't talked about Marcus Hill being one of the catalysts, right? And he didn't shoot very well. Mark Still was 1 of 6 in the game. He hit his free throws. But it just shows you need 2, 3, 4 guys on this team to win games.
Right. And, with Marcus, he's been so consistently good. Okay, everybody's going to have a game where they can be off, right? And so somebody else has to come pick them up. And typically, it's been Marcus picking up for other guys. And then, again, it was just you got Rylan and Ruben back producing at the level that they were. And that makes all the difference in the world.
They're in, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would think so. Again, I'm not on the committee, but look, they're going to, at the very worst, I think, look, if they beat LSU in Baton Rouge on Saturday, it removes all doubt. But I don't really think there can be any significant doubt now. At the worst, you're 10-8 in the SEC. You're going to be an upper division team in the SEC.
5 quad 1 wins.
5 quad 1 wins. Just beat Kentucky, rolled them. So I mean, you have to take them over Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I just think that, I think they're in.
I just like that they won their individual matchups. I like that they brought the fight to Kentucky. Against Texas and some of the other games, it didn't feel, if they were playing so much catch-up, that they didn't bring the fight. When they were playing catch-up, they brought the fight, right? They're like, all right, let's go. They forced some turnovers. They got a quick steal, bam, 3. Quick this, quick that. They brought the fight to Kentucky.
Again, they did all the, Bucky has always talked about what a scrappy team they are and, the fighters, and they were. But, if you would take out the overall field goal percentage and the score, if you tell me, if we had talked about this yesterday and you said, hey, A&M's going to be 13 of 28 at the 3-point line, and they're going to shoot 39 free throws and essentially make 70% and have 7 turnovers, I'm celebrating.
Yep.
The overall field goal percentage isn't going to matter to me, which was, by the way, was really good. They were 40.3, but 13 threes, 39 free throws attempted.
You're going to win that game.
Yeah, that is just such, I mean, that is their box score. That is their victorious box score. That's the way they play.
By the way, the Cardinal got beat down yesterday in baseball. Got to give baseball some props.
Well,
11-1, 7-inning.
The clever Richard Zane texted me and pointed out that on one day the Aggies beat the Cardinals and the Pope.
Cardinals and the Pope. Mark Pope.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well played, Richard. Let's see some notes. Juan Vargas was really, really good. Again, Jake Dewar's been playing phenomenally. Jorian had a 2-run shot as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Dewar went 3 for 3, a home run, 3 RBIs. Vargas went 3 innings and had 2 strikeouts. And so there you go. Played very good.
I would expect them to win. And so do what you're supposed to do. And those midweek games are not a guarantee. Ask the LSU Tigers.
Yeah. Hey, this is TexAgs Live, OB.
It is TexAgs Live, and it's brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Jason
Jackson, Keith,
and the boys.
Morgan, everybody.
Yeah, all of them. And this hour has a name. We've labeled it the Go Hour.
Go Hour.
Presented.
The warehouse at CC Creations.
And typically we're hanging out over there.
In the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
But it travels.
It travels. It traveled over here.
It's here. We're having a good time with the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, multiple ways. The hotline is one way. That hotline is called the what?
The Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline.
But you can also text us on the what? Catalyst, Pure, Performance, Energy.
Are you down with PPE?
Text line,
Yeah,
979-693-1150. We go around the room. We go left to right. We go through the glass, the TV glass, I should say. Nick Savage is there. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to get you fired up real quick, David, all right? I'm going to read you a quote. No. I'm going to read you a quote from our head basketball coach, Bucky McMillan. I'm not coaching basketball afraid of my own shadow. Basketball is a war. We pick people up 94 feet. There's a reason it's 94 feet. We play to live. We don't play not to die.
You read that like you were acting as Jocko.
Good.
You know who Jocko is, right?
No.
Discipline does equal freedom, OB.
Say what?
Yeah. Jocko Willink, my good friend.
No.
Not familiar with his work?
I thought you were talking about Michael Jackson.
Why?
Because I used to call him Jocko.
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 Two different people. I don't know where this could have gone. I'm just going to pause.
Well, like Michael Jackson's head, the Aggies were on fire last night.
They were moonwalking on that ass. Sorry for the kids listening. And I should have chosen a different body part because it's Michael Jackson. Anyway, here's the bottom line.
Right back to it, huh?
We're not going to beat it. We're going to continue to talk about it. Okay?
Ain't bad.
Yeah. What a thriller on this show.
It was a thriller.
Yeah. Anyway.
It was as easy as ABC last night.
Okay. You know, OB?
Yeah.
A&M is looking at the man in the mirror. They are. Sorry, I'm going to stop.
No. When can it? It just can't stop. Don't stop till you get enough.
Yeah. We got to go to the... How do we do this?
I don't know.
And why
We're
do we
off
do
the wall.
this? Yeah. 1979. Good hair. Let's go. Just go to the Angry Elephant. Kayla, take over, please. Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
Well, I don't have a Michael Jackson reference for you guys, but I do have a stat line from last night. So every time the Aggies go 30% or more from three or are within 7 on rebounding, they win the game. And last night they had both. They were, 46.4% from three, 13 of 28, like we talked about. And they were within 7 rebounds. They only got out-rebounded by 2. It was 41-38. So I thought that was an interesting stat line.
Yeah. That would be 3, I think.
It was what?
He said they were rebounded by 2.
Oh, it would be 3. Sorry. My brain's not working.
It's all right. It's okay.
What else do you have for us?
Well, it's Big Win Wednesday, but it's also Women's Sports Wednesday. We have Aggie softball playing tonight, and Aggie women's basketball plays their first game of the SEC tournament tonight against Auburn. So looking forward to some women's sports later on today.
They've won, what, 6 of 7?
Yes,
Is that what it is? So I get 7 of 8.
I think it was 7 of 8.
Oh, it's 7 of 8.
Yes.
Hey, even better. So now they'll make it 8 of 9 tonight.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully with a win against Auburn.
Yes, with a win against Auburn, it'll be 8 of 9.
OB?
Yeah.
You are a smooth criminal, my friend. You are so good. And you know what? When you go to 1775, you are not alone.
No, you're not. You're not. You're with friends. Even if you are by yourself, you're not alone.
When you take me there, the way you make me feel about that food is second to none.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, that succulent brisket.
Did you bring Dirty Diana to go eat?
I would, but I'd have her wash her hands so she wouldn't be that dirty. I mean, because you're gonna pick up those ribs with your hands.
Yeah.
You're gonna get that brisket sandwich. You're not gonna take a knife and fork because you're just gonna want to dive in and eat that.
You remember the time?
I remember the time that I was there the last time. Miss Irma ordered that brisket sandwich. It was like one of the best. No, I take it back. It was the best brisket sandwich I've ever had. Yes, I'm saying it. The best brisket sandwich I ever had.
The best you've ever had.
Yeah, it was so juicy. I felt like I needed to wear one glove.
The love never felt so good by eating at 1775.
I agree. Is that another Michael Jackson song?
I'm giving you like 9.
Okay.
Want to be starting something? You go to 1775.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I did a Wikipedia just to help me with this at the end. In the beginning, they were all from my dome. But I tell you what, 1775 does rock my world.
Okay. Yeah, it does. I'm going to be the straight man on this one. You're going to be the comedian.
Say, the website. 1775 TXBBQ.com. Apparently he's got a song called In the Closet. 979-492-6241. You can come out and go eat at 1775.
I'm Wes Mangan, and I live on a piece of property with my wife and 2 boys and several animals. I work in oil and gas, and I travel a lot, and so when I come home, it's like my sanctuary. I get to see Lauren and the boys, and it's been just a perfect fit for us, and it's really improved our family time. And this is the first land I'd ever purchased, so dealing with the land side of things and dealing with Capital Farm Credit was super easy for us through the whole process. I definitely feel like with Capital Farm Credit, together we are better.
Welcome back, TexAgs Live. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. OB, the turning point of the game was what 7:29 left, score 30-18, and Ruben Dominguez catches that three and in the corner and drills the three and starts off a huge run.
That started a 13-0 run where he had 11 of the 13.
9 of those on threes led by the team.
Yeah. So you could say the 13-0 run was the turning point, or just that one particular play that launched it all.
Yep.
But it definitely turned. The whole trajectory changed.
And I'm going to agree with you, though. If you were to add a second one, the way they started the second half.
Second half. Yeah. And they needed to, because Kentucky, they're a good basketball team. They're a proud program.
Yeah.
You know they weren't just going to give up. And they made a run. And then, the Aggies made the plays that they had to make, but had they not started that second half so strong, it would have been really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it would have been. So Luke gave us a little update on the boards last night, become a premium subscriber, by the way, on what the SEC tournament could look like seeding-wise. They can get up to a 5 seed if A&M beats LSU, Florida beats Kentucky, which...
I think Florida will.
Yep. Arkansas beats Missouri.
I think Arkansas will.
And Tennessee beats Vanderbilt. That one I don't know.
That one I don't know about. I mean, can they? Absolutely. Where's that game? Is that game in Knoxville or Nashville?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll have her look it up. He just wrote here, Tennessee beats Vandy. So
that game is in Knoxville.
Okay. So what you're saying is there's a chance. Okay.
There's a chance.
Okay. So
probably better than 1 in a million.
A 5 seed would mean a double bye?
Yeah. Let me see. I got the right. A 5 seed. If you're the 5 seed, yes. Your first game would be on Friday.
Holy smokes. Wow.
And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I'll give you more time here in town.
Yeah. Let me see. Where do I do? No,
what's going on?
Oh, there they are. I was looking for my reading glasses to make sure I got this right, because I'm looking at that seed. No, that's not correct.
Thursday they would play.
They would play. If they're the 5 seed, they'd play at 2:00. If they're the 5 seed.
So the tournament starts on Tuesday?
It starts on Wednesday.
Okay, so they wouldn't get a double bye. They get only a 1 bye.
Yeah, and they would be playing the winner of the 13 versus 12 seed. 12 versus 13 seed.
Okay, so best case scenario, they're the 5 seed. Realistically, though, they could be anywhere between what? Right now, they would be 7?
5 and 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no matter what, we know where they're playing now? Is that right? They're going to play
they're playing in Nashville.
No, yeah. They're playing, regardless, they're playing on Thursday?
Yeah, so we need to get our flight arrangements made.
Okay. So there you go. So Thursday it is.
At least I think.
I'm sure somebody's listening to this segment like, just give me the right answer, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's
still so many
moving parts, and you've got to be, what God forbid you lose to LSU.
They would drop to what?
And all those other teams win.
Mm-hmm. Then you could potentially drop to 8, is what you're telling me?
Or, I don't know, maybe 9.
Okay.
And then, in that case, you're playing on Wednesday.
Yeah, so you still got to wait.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would gamble with it, though. I would go ahead, if I was in charge of the travel,
you would
I would go ahead, because, they call me Mr. Vegas, I'm
they do?
by the seat.
I've never heard anybody call you that ever in my life.
So I would go ahead and book it.
Yeah.
And then if I have to change it, I'd change it.
You would bank on it.
I'd bank on it.
Fair bank. I think I said this to you yesterday, and if I didn't, I meant to tell you. I think I said if A&M beats Kentucky, they're beating LSU. Like I think they're going to finish 2-0. And I know that's not like a brainiac moment, but I just feel like they needed that to get back to who they are.
Well, I think they'll beat LSU, and I thought they'd have beaten LSU anyway. I don't think you can just take it for granted, though. LSU can be dangerous, and especially on their home court. Kentucky beat them by 1 point on their home court,
right.
And it was controversial. So you just don't take it for granted. But, yeah, I think if they show up even regional facsimile of what they were last night. I think they beat LSU, and if that's the case, maybe it could all work out. They'll be a 5 or a 6 seed. Now, I don't know if that I want them to be a 6 seed because that means they'll be tipping off if everything goes exactly right at 8:30 p.m. our time, which that means 9 o'clock at the earliest because they never these.
God, don't do that to me, guys. Don't do that to me.
So 7.
Don't do that to OB.
7 or 5. I'll take
7 or 5.
7 or 5. Don't
Not
want 6.
6.
Don't want 6.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. I believe the good Tom Schuberth will be in studio, the coach.
Okay.
Tommy
okay.
Schuberth.
Tommy and I, we talked on the phone the other night, and he told me he thought A&M was going to beat Kentucky.
He's usually got he's got it.
You think he has a background as a coach or something?
Yeah, he usually knows which are the good matchups for A&M. So we'll ask him about that.
Yeah.
When I think he'll be here in studio. Right now, we're talking Rollo Insurance. They build lasting relationships through education. They are the best at finding you the right insurance for your situation. They share in community values. They're an independent agency that works for you, not the shareholders, and they provide an objective consultation across all insurance lines available in the great state of Texas and beyond. Join thousands of Aggies who trust Rollo Insurance with their insurance needs. When local matters hit home, like severe weather, regional economic shifts, Rollo agents understand the impact firsthand because they live here too. Their independence means they can recommend solutions from dozens of carriers based on what's best for you and your family. That's why so many local families and businesses thrive through Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, David Nuño, Olin Buchanan, and the coach Tom Schuberth here in the studio. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, guys?
How was Machu Picchu?
Machu Picchu was awesome. We were just talking about it. It's worth the experience, absolutely. It just took me too long to get there. You know, I wish I was young like you guys and I could have gone sooner and experienced it, but I loved every second of it.
Well, we got to talk some Aggie basketball, but first, Tom is always so kind, brought me a book, John Grisham Playing for Pizza. He said it's going to be right up my alley. I asked him about John Grisham and if he likes the movies as well, and he gave me a little tidbit that I think our audience needs to know. What is your relationship with the movie The Firm?
Well, I was coaching at the University of Memphis in 1992, and that's when The Firm was being filled. And they wanted to get a lot of the important people in Memphis, not that I'm one, involved in the movie. And I was working for a gentleman named Larry Finch, was the head coach at Memphis, played in the final game against UCLA in 1973 when Bill Walton went 21 for 22. But an incredible player, perfect person, and great coach. They wanted him to do the technical advising for the first scene of the movie, which is actually a basketball scene. It's supposed to take place at Harvard, where he was going to law school. And so he's very busy. He doesn't like messing with that. He didn't want to do it. So our secretary, she recommended me because she wanted to meet Tom Cruise. Yeah. She said, let Tom do it. Of course, I wanted to do it, and I did. So initially, I had to go out and work with the guys about, playing 3-on-3 basketball. And then when they filmed the scene, I thought I was going to actually get to say something, didn't get to say a word. So anyway, we went over to the auxiliary gym. I know I'm rambling here, at the University of Memphis where they were filming this. I walked in with our secretary, and Tom Cruise comes over, and he asked my name. He said Tom, and he signs a little to Tom, a few good men, and hands me a glossy and does the same thing with our secretary. And then they said, get over there, coach. I went over to the side, and they're playing, and they're spraying them down with water to make it look like sweat. And they're playing this game, and it's just 3-on-3 basketball, and they're trying to score. And no one's making a basket. All the 6 guys weren't really very good players. And
including Tom.
Including Tom. He was the worst of them. So long story short, the producer, it wasn't the producer, because that was Sidney Pollack, who I got to know very well, who has passed away since that time. He was a huge basketball fan. But this other assistant producer, for whatever reason, was like, he just didn't like me. So anyway, he was like, can anybody make a shot around here? And I was standing off to the side. He said, Coach, can you make a shot? And they threw me the ball, and I was, honest to goodness, on the sideline of my first shot, it went in, so the swish. So the ball that goes through the net, that's my shot. So I'm technically off to the side, but the ball went in. So
there were some other big actors in that movie too, right?
Gene Hackman. Yeah, there was Tribble, the woman.
Jean Triplehorn.
Yeah, she was the wife of his. There was some phenomenal actors.
Servino. Wasn't he that? Was that
Paul Servino was in that one?
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was the mobster. Yeah, it was a
imagine that.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Paul a mob. Yeah, but most of the film was filmed right there in Memphis, you know, and they have a lot of like a guy named Rose that owns a lot of hotels. Holiday, he was in it. But when you watch the little scenes, you'll see a lot of prominent Memphis people in there.
So, not to hurt your feelings, I think I talked about this with you, OB. Memphis is one of the, if I were to rank the cities that I've gone to working at TexAgs, Memphis might be towards the bottom for me, but where we were.
Memphis has deteriorated over the last, say, 20 years. I bet when Tom was there, it was a really nice place to visit.
Where we were, I think we were in downtown, right? Is that where we were?
Well, that's the nicest place to visit. So you want to go to Bill Street and the Peabody Hotel and things like that.
But thank you for sharing that story. Let's get into the game last night, man.
Absolutely.
OB was telling me that you felt good about this game.
I did. I love the matchup. You know, again, I listen to you guys all the time when I have the opportunity, and you guys are always spot on, in my opinion, of what, you know, from the coaching aspect of it. But I have a theory, and I get in arguments even with people at the game about shooting. You know, to me, shooting, and I wasn't a great shooter, and, you know, only probably great shooters can talk about this. There was an old joke Abe Lemons used to say, you know, shooting is 50% talent and 90% mental. You know, it was kind of making a parody of it. But I do think shooting is so much mental, and when Dominguez got on the roll, but I think just as much, it's more the competition that you're playing and how they guard you. Yep. And so I hear so many times, as soon as Dominguez catches the ball, or even Ryland Griffin yesterday, they want him to shoot it immediately. And I think shooters know better than anybody when they're ready to shoot it. And I thought the key to the game, and obviously 30-18, we're losing, 7 minutes, 13 seconds to go. Dominguez comes off a screen and roll. He's coming off the roll. And anytime you play Ruben Dominguez, any good team is going to play, it's called switch and show. And then you've got to have, like, what the terminology is, like a stick hand, meaning that hand has to be able to rake that ball if he goes up. And if you'll watch that first one he knocked down, the big didn't show enough. He didn't get out there on the switch. He was able to get that rhythm jumper and knocked it down. Then he made those next two. So I don't think Bucky's, not that he doesn't want to alert the opposition. I mean, any good coach is not going to let Dominguez, and in this case, Clemens, get a rhythm three off. Right. But to Dominguez's credit, I loved it when he went on that row, those three in a row. And then to me, that set the stage. And then I was disappointed for Kentucky how they competed. I mean,
after that, they quit.
It was unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, I thought Bucky outcoached Mark Pope like it was unreal. That was a fun game to watch, and they totally dominated. I never was in doubt, particularly after the start of the second half. How about that? Yeah. That was the key with Clemens knocking down those two. I mean, you cannot let those guys get a rhythm shot off when they're on a roll, and that's what they do well. I would make Clemens beat me at the rim. I mean, he's so. He's a picture-perfect jump shot for a guy that's 7 foot tall, and when he's on a roll, you can't stop him.
Are you of the mind that shooting is contagious?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's where I go back to the mental aspect of it, no question. I mean, and then I love the two that Dominguez made in the lane when he just went up with so much confidence. Do you remember the first one he took in the game, though, when it was inside he looked like he didn't even want to shoot it. Right. But that's just my opinion, but I don't think the player would, they have to feel it. I mean, the fans, I want them to shoot it every time too, but I want them to be open. And then again, do you remember the transition after he made the first three? It was super deep in the first half, but I like that three. Yeah. I think he's going to have to shoot more of those in his future because people are not going to let him get a good look. And ironically, David, I was at the game and talking to Gary Blair, who has as good a feel of basketball as any coach. I mean, he's phenomenal. And guess what our subject was? Ruben Dominguez, and just that, getting him some open looks. And Coach Blair was the one that said he's got to increase his range. You know how some of those NBA guys, it's almost unlimited. Ruben has great range, but he needs to get incredible range, So that's just my thoughts on what Coach Blair thought. And we text back and forth. Yeah. He said, see, it worked, But
well, to follow up on if it's contagious, I also think energy can be contagious because the energy changed, I think A&M played well to start the game. Then Kentucky went on their run, and they couldn't stop anything in the paint. But I think after the Dominguez three, the defense tightened up, the energy, the loose balls. Like, it wasn't just Aggie. It was everybody being they were intensified.
No question. I mean, Aggie's phenomenal. And then when he was missing his free throws, these guys are human. I mean, to me, I remember late in the game when he got fouled, and they go, oh, he's not shooting them well. I said, I've never seen Aggie miss a big free throw. He makes every key free throw, and sure enough, he switched too. That was a good ball game. I mean, I listened to you earlier. They're in the tournament. I mean, they can lay an egg at LSU and lose in the first round. They're in because I think they're going to take 10 teams in the SEC, and certainly I think we're one of them. But I think 11 will get in because I think Auburn will find a way. They do play at Alabama their last game, so they'll probably lose that. Maybe not, but then if they can win a game, because they'll be down, they'll probably play a lesser team in the SEC tournament, get another win. They're right now looking out. They would be the 11th team, but I love the fact that I think we're solidified in the tournament. I don't think they would take less than 10 teams in the SEC, do you, to the tournament right now?
I don't know the committee. Like, they've never done us favors, OB.
No, A&M's always has to earn it. But you look at the net rankings, you see how many SEC teams are rated like in the top 30.
Right.
I couldn't tell you right now, but it seems like there's 5 or 6. Maybe I'm overselling that, but I don't think so. So I think this just speaks to to how challenging and how good it is top to bottom. Well, almost to the bottom. That yeah, that would lend me to believe that they're going to take at least 10.
Sure. I don't have the history of you guys like A&M, but I think they're generous to the SEC. The committee is. I mean, the power of the SEC. In A&M's case, they're a fun team, and I still think it's entertainment.
Yep.
And I think they want
and Bucky's
Buckyball.
a character, right?
Absolutely. I travel, a lot, as you know, and I say I'm from Texas A&M. And honestly, some of the first things out of people's mouth, knowing I'm in Buckyball, you know, which is wonderful. And the reputation of A&M. So, but I also know, the history, and it's ironic that I look back at A&M basketball, and I followed it since the 80s. I played against a guy named Goff that played here. He was a suburban Chicago player and played against him. So I've always watched. That was 76, 77 was his first year. Very good player. So I've always followed A&M. But the best we've ever done is Sweet 16. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you can't say it's a basketball-rich program, but it is a good program.
It's a very good program. Before we hit a break, two-part question. Right. What was broken when they lost 6 of 8? Okay, what to you seemed broken, and is it fixed, or do what they do against LSU? Is that how we know it's been fixed?
I think so. Again, I don't know if you want to hear this. I think competition. I think that's what was broken. I mean, I think the competition was better. We played the lesser teams early. We got our confidence, and I think the better teams, when we played them in that stretch where we weren't playing as well, did a better job of guarding us and handling the pressure. When Kentucky got off to that good start, I'm thinking, I don't think this is going to last, because they just didn't look, we were playing a little shaky. I love the change of the lineup, particularly I think bringing an incredible shooter off the bench is the best way to do it. Sometimes when you get a guy starting the game, they key in on him, but when you start moving them in and out, they lose them. And all it takes is one, So I think it's competition more than what we were doing. I would love to get Bucky behind closed doors and ask him what he thought, and I think some of that would be true. I think we just played better teams that guarded us better, and then, as you said, shooting is so much mental, and once you're not shooting the ball well, it kind of snowballs. So
let's do another segment. You got time?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Tom Schuberth here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever, and also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group, and they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents, because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Tom Schuberth with the Scene on the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Tom, I'm going to bring up a topic from yesterday just to get your thought from a coach's perspective. Miami, Ohio. Have you been paying attention to
I have, very much so.
29-0.
Yes, sir.
Do you think, are you with Coach Pearl, who thinks they shouldn't make the tournament if they don't win their conference tournament? I feel like you got to reward a team that goes at the very worst 29-1 and make the tournament. But do you agree, disagree?
I absolutely feel they should get in the tournament, David. You've got to give one or two of those teams that earn their way, and they earn their way in a tournament. If you're picking 32 at-large teams, certainly the teams out of the power conferences over a course of the year are going to be maybe the 32 most talented. But this is not going to sound good, but I don't like giving a team that's 6-12 in their league, or even if it's a great league, a way into the tournament. They really didn't earn it. I mean, are they one of the better teams? Probably. But they need to get in that tournament. I think they'll get in.
I think they will, and they probably win the conference tournament. The reason I bring it up is if they don't win the conference tournament and they get in, that could come at the expense of an Auburn or an A&M, an SEC bubble team.
Absolutely. And what if one of the lower teams in the Power Four conferences lucks up and wins the tournament? That knocks someone else out. Like maybe we'll use Wake Forest as an example. If let's say they win the ACC tournament, that takes another spot. That could happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think, and this is, again, I was in a lot of mid-level leagues. I was at some high majors, but the mid-level, it is so much pressure on you when you win the league outright and you have a great year. I say it's so difficult to win your regular season conference championship and turn around and win the tournament. So many times you're playing to lose, and then a lot of these conferences have gone to the double bye, which I hate. Young men like to play. Sitting there watching 2 games before you even step out on the court. Now you're playing a team that has momentum, and you know they're good because they've won a couple games. They got a good seed. You're almost playing not to lose. So my prediction, Miami of Ohio will not win their conference tournament. I think it's going to go down whether the committee wants them in or not. That's just, we'll see if it works out, but you never know.
Obi?
I'd be absolutely shocked if they didn't get in despite not winning their conference tournament. I go back to 5 years ago when A&M went to the finals of the SEC tournament, upset Florida, at Auburn, Arkansas got there, finally ran out of gas against Tennessee. I thought for sure they were in, and I think there were 5 teams from the Mountain West that got in. So it all depends to me a lot on the people on the selection committee and who they represent. And that year, the chairman was from I think from the Southland Conference, a mid-major commissioner from the Southland Conference, and I think it's another mid-major guy in charge this year.
Ironically, who's in charge is Martin Newton, and who was the athletic director at Samford for Bucky.
Oh,
so that's going to help, I think, a little bit.
You would think there would be.
I don't think it hurts A&M.
Right. No, that's what I was saying.
But I think A&M's already in.
I do too.
But I think if you're from a mid-major and you expect and you want respect, and you're going to say, I'm not going to leave this 29-1 team from the MAC out.
Right. Well, actually, somebody texted in. They won yesterday, so they're 30-0.
Okay, 30-0.
Tom, on the 6 men on the court, was it obvious in attendance? On TV, it was obvious. There was a point where Bucky got mad. There were 6 men on the floor. My understanding is you can't go back and make that call after if you didn't catch it.
Correct. You have to catch it. I've been in that situation so many times, and the ironic thing is that was poor administration by the officials. Do you know that another technical foul is when you don't have, you have to have at least 5? A&M had 4 at one time, and we finally got a guy on there, and it was poor administration by the officials. They kind of lost control in that little area.
Yeah.
We were looking, we had a nice view from it. But, I don't think, I'm a Bucky fan, and when he gets upset, it's usually a good reason to get upset. But I don't think that wasn't Kentucky's fault as much, in my opinion, it was the officials' fault. I think they gave the free throw shooter the ball too fast there. You got to make sure, and that's a job of the back official. He literally should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make sure before you go. So I'm a Bucky fan, that, and he probably had a better angle than I did, but I had no problem with them not giving a technical to Kentucky on that one.
Where I was up,
you couldn't tell.
I saw he was upset. I'm thinking, why was he mad?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what's going on?
And at that time, I was like, hey, we're going to win anyway. So, and the other thing I like sometimes, David, is when we are missing free throws and you have those big leads, that's the time to get those misses out. You know, it's the ones where you have the 1 or 2 possession game and they're so needed. And I know. But I think we've made timely free throws with the exception of a couple situations.
Tom, thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
We'll hit a break. When we come back, John Harris talking a little football next on TexAgs Live. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Talk to our buddy, John Harris from the Houston Texans. He's their sideline reporter and, of course, footballtakeover.com founder. Johnny, good morning, buddy. Hello, Johnny. And for some reason, we don't have him. We'll try to figure out the technical issues. As we do that, we'll go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know there have been some texts, some comments on both the TexAgs premium chat and on YouTube. What can you share with us, Kayla?
Yeah, we had a comment earlier actually talking about who could be eligible to return to the basketball team. I have a list, and I'm going to find it and read some names.
Okay.
So Mackenzie Mbako, which is a huge return for the Aggies. He's not going to go to the NBA. He's going to return for us. He's been out for the entire season. We think he will be, which would be really great for us next year. Pop Isaacs is also potentially returning. Zach Clements is pending a waiver. Marcus Hill is also pending a waiver. Jamie Vinson, Ruben Dominguez, and Josh Holloway are some of the Aggies that could return for us next season. We're losing Aggie, Griffin, Lane, Deba, and Federico to expired eligibility.
Yeah.
So our
Aggie's the biggest one there.
Yes.
I like them all, but like losing Aggie, like he's been the heart and soul of this team on the court and off the floor. Let's go back to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Johnny Harris. Hey, buddy.
Hi, David. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Where are you?
I'm actually near the house in Galveston. So it's the off season, so I don't have to go in every day. So I'm doing my work from the house, and got some studying of some film to do today, and we'll continue that all the way through the draft.
All right. Well, I won't bring up the fact that the headquarters is moving further away from Galveston. I'll just say it out loud because that's what, 2 years away, Johnny?
3.
3. Okay. 3 years. So there's time. Hey, any takeaways from an A&M perspective from the combine? Anything that kind of hit your mind like, okay, this is good, or maybe this is not so good?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is like take Cassius Howell and his arm length. And I know people are like, you got to be kidding me, because his arms are, an inch less. It is a real factor for some NFL teams. And that's why they have the combine. That's why they do all their measurements, because it does matter at some point. How much it matters, that remains to be seen. Ruben Bain going through the same thing with Miami. And I think A&M fans would say, I didn't know he had short arms, nor do I care, because the Ruben Bain I saw in College Station, that dude could play in the league. The same with Cassius Howell. But what it does at some point, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, is a guy is drafted, maybe has short arms, maybe is short, maybe is a little slower, and the GM is like, no, trust me, we got the right guy. And then all of a sudden, that guy turns out to have problems because he is a little slower, because he is a little smaller, because his arms are a little shorter, and the owner looks at him and says, well, hey, you told me this guy could do it. You banged the table for this guy and said he could overcome short arms. And that's happened way too often in the league with owners, with GMs saying it to coaches and costing people their jobs, that they're like, well, you know what? I better go with the safer guy that may not be quite the player, but you know what? If he fails, it's not really my fault. It's just it didn't pan out. But if a guy with short arms, smaller, a tenth of a second slower, doesn't work out, then all of a sudden the owner has the opportunity to say, well, GM, you should have known this. And so that's why it ends up being kind of a big deal in the NFL. Now, I've always been of a mindset that it doesn't bother me, a guy like, Cassius, a guy like Ruben Bain, that play with such intensity and fire and power and violence in their game. It doesn't bother me that they have short arms. And that's the thing that you have to consider, especially with a guy like Cassius, is, he doesn't have 35-inch long arms, or that guy would go in the top 3 probably. Like arm length, it matters. And I think that is kind of what he in particular, and I felt like that was kind of the story of the combine. Oh, these really good pass rushers, these really good edge players, they got short arms. What are we going to do with them? Well, you let them play football because they're pretty damn good at it. So I think that's probably one thing that is going to come out. And now what you're going to see are mock drafters that don't put Cassius in the first round. They're going to go with this guy over here because he's got longer arms, or, this guy over here ran a 4.3. When it levels out I think Cassius is still a first rounder, might be back in the first round. But I do think that teams are going to have to go back to the draft room, and they're going to say, hey, where do the short arms show up in his game? And if the scouts are like, it doesn't, well, then a staff is sitting there going, this is good. Because now all of a sudden he might fall to us at 26. He might fall to us at 29. He might fall to us at 32. Shoot, he might be our first pick in the second round. So it works out when a guy's a really good football player, as normal as that sounds. But there is a lot of talk that came out of the combine because of Cassius' short arms, and I think that's really stupid. But that's the way sometimes the NFL looks at things. It's not always perfect. Yeah, it's the NFL. We hold it in high regard, and I can tell you, I've seen a lot of idiots in the NFL over the years. Just because it's the NFL doesn't mean everybody knows what the hell they're doing.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, so is there like an equation? I'm sorry, I'm making this so formulaic, but like to where like, all right, this guy, I won't take a chance with him on the first round because of his short arms. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to let him, I'll take him in the third round or I'll take him in the second round. Like, where does the short arms become a point where like, I'll take a chance on it?
Yeah, that's a great point, David. I think the level of player the guy is determines that. If a guy isn't a really great player and he's got short arms, he does some things well. Okay, I'm not taking a risk on that. But when I see a guy dominate in the SEC, a guy that has, multiple pass rush moves, a pass rush repertoire that's really interesting and diverse, it pushes the guy back up. Okay, well, yeah, short arms. Okay, that's one thing against him. But does it show up in his – does he counteract that with what what other good things he does? And I think Cassius Howell and Ruben Bain are two of those guys that do, and they do it in different ways. So I do think there is, and that's there's really, I don't know if there's any kind of formula to look at and go, okay, well, because he got short arms, he's a 6. But because he's got, great pass rush ability, he's a 9. It really, and that's what I think makes the draft really fun, is the fact that there's no science to it. It's very much art. How you look at a player, David, how I look at a player, and how the Pittsburgh Steelers might look at a player may be 3 different ways. We're all watching the same film, but what they see versus what I see, what you see, might be completely different. Well, I'll draft that guy because I like these things he does. And the teams are saying, well, no, we don't like it because of this. And I think what it comes down to at some point is if a guy does have a knock against him, his height, his size, his speed, his arm length, how does he make up for it? I remember when Joe Burrow had measured out with 9-inch hands. And it was like, Joe got on Twitter and basically said the perfect thing. He said, well, I've been throwing the ball. I threw the ball last year for 60 touchdowns in one of the greatest offenses in college football with 9-inch hands. You make the call. And he's right. He's right. But sometimes you can see things show up when guys don't have assets that counterbalance short arms or being short. I think Cassius does that. But it really is, it's very much a feel thing. But to me, I think it's a lot of times where teams in the third round are like, this is where I think we can take a shot. This is where I think we can get a player discounted from the first round because he's not that big. Like, for example, I think Tank Dell is a great example. Tank Dell, not the biggest guy in the world. And that's what held a lot of teams back, just because the fact he was not big in any way. But he played big, and he made big plays, and he was too electric. And the Texans are like, man, we need some electricity in our building. Third round, bang, here we go. Tank, as a player, was probably a first-round player. But Tank, the full package, wasn't, because he was minute. He was tiny. And teams just, we can't do that in the first round, second round. But then in the third round, okay, I think we can take this risk. Albeit the injury last year hurt, and we missed him. Tank's working to get back. But I think that's a great example of probably third round where you go, you know what? We're getting a really good football player. Yeah, he's got flaws. That's why he's going to third round. But we can overlook that because we feel like this is the right spot to take that risk. So usually it's the third round where you go, you know what? Yeah, I might take a risk. Now, the risk might be a physical deformity. Deformity is the wrong way of saying it, but a physical issue as the NFL sees it. There are going to be some non-negotiables. If you're a guy that loafs, if you're a guy that misses meetings, all that kind of stuff, there may not be a round that you fall to. But typically, if it's a physical thing, usually the third round is about where teams go, yeah, I'll take the risk, especially if they've got multiple picks in that round, which a lot of teams do because of compensatory picks.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. What about KC? What was your big takeaway? I know that there was a social media storm because of his stuttering, but just the football player, the way he interviewed, all that good stuff.
I feel like KC's held in high regard in the NFL, to be honest. I don't think that the NFL is, what's the right way of saying that? Anybody that made an issue of him at the podium should be fired from a job, should be, taken out behind the woodshed, because that's ridiculous. Because KC's the exact kind of player that every NFL team would want in its locker room. No doubt, end of story. And it's so funny when we were there at the Combine, David, I for years, because I've watched KC all the way back to his NC State days. So I've watched a ton of games with him, and I've watched him, and I'm like, God dang it, he reminds me of somebody, and it just isn't coming to me. And we were standing there at the Combine, and the NFL Network popped up different, vignettes and whatever. And then I saw one punt return for KC Concepcion, and I know that is. That's Brandon Cooks. Like, immediately, that's Brandon Cooks. Like, just the way that he had kind of this pitter-patter, kind of the way that his feet moved, I was like, dude, that's Brandon Cooks. And I thought about Brandon Cooks, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. Speed, explosiveness, maybe not the biggest guy, but look what Brandon Cooks has done in this league for a long, long time. I think KC can be that. He can be the younger version of Brandon Cooks. I think what was made at the podium, the fact that KC had to respond to that, I think is asinine. And I think that any team would be glad to have KC Concepcion. And I think we'll see that in the draft on Thursday night come late April. There'll be a lot of teams clamoring to have a guy like that in their locker room, not just because he can go make plays, but because of the role model he's going to be in the community. And I know a lot of teams are like, well, it's all about winning. Teams don't care about that. Yes, they do. I live in a building with one. That kind of character, football character, off the field character, overcoming adversity, that matters. It matters a lot. And it's that philosophy in the way that we go out and get our players in Houston really has proven out. We got guys that go on the field and are animals, but off the field, they're some of the best community guys I've ever seen. Aziz Al-Shire is a perfect example of that. They go out and they find guys that between the lines, they will do anything to win. They play their guts out. They're great teammates. They're explosive football players. Off the field, they're sweethearts. They're guys that you would love your daughter to marry. And I think KC Concepcion is going to be that. Unfortunately, for us, it won't be with us. But there are so many teams looking for a player of his caliber and a person of his character.
Johnny, talk to me about the moves the Texans made this week. David Montgomery coming from the Lions, some changes on the offensive line. Titus Howard no longer with the Texans. Just tell me about what they're trying to accomplish this offseason, what you think they're trying to accomplish.
Well, look, there's been talk for 2 years about fixing the offensive line. They traded Laramie, last year, and everybody's like, what are you doing? You're trading your best player. And I get into this all the time with people. I'm like, look, just because you have a talented player doesn't mean he's the best on your team or he's the best for that particular unit. There's a difference between a talented team and a good team. And what I mean by that is you can have all the talent in the world, but it didn't come together. In 2024, going back 2 years, it didn't come together. And Laramie, for as much as I love Laramie, Laramie is about Laramie. And it set a tone in the offensive line room that they didn't like. And Titus was Laramie's number one follower. Wherever Laramie went, Titus went. And I think that had an impact on Titus. But they just weren't able to get everything done last year that they wanted to do. But they saw a situation where Titus wanted to get paid and get an extension. And they said, look, we got CJ to pay. We got Will to pay. We've got Kalen and Kamari coming up next year. We got guys we got to pay. And we're not paying $21 million a year for a guy that is really not even a top 20 tackle in the league, maybe not even a top 20 guard in the league. And so we're like, let's get some draft capital. Let's use this to go over and get David Montgomery, who we think has got some life left to him. There's still some tread on the tire. He's about $6 or $7 million. It's a good value signing for a number of different reasons, and he probably becomes, he and Woody formulate a really good duo. Maybe not to the extent that they had in Detroit with Montgomery and Gibbs, because Gibbs is just otherworldly. But I think Demo and Woody Marks end up being a really nice duo. And you can also add a rookie to that mix if you want on day 3. They won't go after one of these high-priced free agents, and I think that was part of it. They got a lot of money that they need to spend on the offensive line. I just don't know that paying, well, I shouldn't say I don't know. I do know that paying Titus Howard $21 million a year for the next 3 years, that would have been bad financial business because you weren't getting that value out. So they got to reset. They got to find some offensive linemen. There's no question about that. But I think they looked at the free agent market. They looked at what they think could be the trade market and thought, we can get better with the offensive line, a better group. Just because your quote-unquote best offensive lineman got traded, everybody panics. It's like, no. We traded one of the most talented offensive linemen in the league over to Washington, and our line got better. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was the best line I've ever seen, but it got better. Wait a second, John, how's the math on that? You traded the best. Look at the numbers. Sacks were down. Pressures were down. Running game was probably a little bit better. It could be a lot better. And I think they felt like we've got to get guys in here that are a little bit swarmier, that aren't thinking about making $21 million a year, are worried about what they put on Instagram, what Twitter fight they're getting in. They want guys that don't even know what social media is. They want guys that just go out there and want to put guys in the dirt, guys that want to run block. They want to improve the run game such that it helps C.J. Stroud going forward. They didn't think they were getting that value out of Titus at that number. So my guess is Titus' agent went to them and said, hey, we'd like an extension. Oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, we'd like to be in the $20 to $21 million range. Okay, here's Cleveland. We just traded you for a 5th rounder. So from that standpoint, Cleveland had to reset everything. So they're willing to pay the tax, if you will. I don't think we were in a spot where we were going to do that or could do that. So you move on from an offensive lineman, bring in a good running back, and now you really got to go to work in making trades and signing some guys. And there's a part of it where you got to get a little bit lucky. I remember when the Texans offensive line had an undrafted free agent named Mike Brizell. He ended up being one of the better linemen. So at some point, you might need one of those 5 to kind of come out of nowhere like, oh, my God, I didn't even know this guy was on the team, and yet he turns out to be a starter just because he's hanging around and he's making good plays and he fits. And so I think they'll probably go out and spend on the offensive line, either tackle or guard, whatever's available. I don't think they're going to get Tyler Linderbaum. I'd love for it to happen. It ain't going to happen. Too many teams want him. I just don't know that, I think his price tag's going up and up and up. But I do think there are some available centers. I do think there are guards. There's been talk about a trade for Trent Williams. I think that would be awesome if it happened. I just don't know that can happen. But I would love for it to happen. And then you move Ariante to the right side, and now all of a sudden you got Trent Williams and Ariante Ursery. You don't even think about Titus Howard anymore after that. But the proof is now in the pudding, and you got to make it happen.
Johnny, great stuff, buddy. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, man. Talk to you later.
Talk to you. That's John Harris there on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Hit a break. We'll come back with Coach Pat Henry. Right now, Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. So if you're looking for a new neighborhood, that's a great place to go start. Neighborhoods at Milliken Reserve are nothing like your typical subdivisions. They're based entirely on that Brazos Valley landscape and heritage. closely linked to the land with Texas roots. So there's no place like Milliken Reserve. The homes are on 10-plus acre wooded estates in the creek. There's another neighborhood called the Hollow, which is homes in a private and gated community. You got the meadows that are responsive to that natural surroundings. Again, it's a place that is rooted for Texas soil, and if it sounds like the place for you, check out the website, millikenreserve.com. That website, again, is millikenreserve.com. Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Pat Henry's going to try to catch up with us later on this week, or if not next week. But that segment, it was always brought to you by our good friends at the Brazos Running Company. From running shoes to Aggie pajamas, that Aggie family's got you covered. Visit the Brazos Running Company at Century Square or shop masonhay.com for your Aggie pajamas. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla, baseball. You got some notes that we didn't touch on.
Yeah, so we had a really good game last night. A&M run-ruled UIW 11-1. A&M saw 4 different pitchers last night. Started off with Juan Vargas, went to Gavin Lyons, Cole Hubert, who's a freshman, and then ended with Josh Stewart. So I have a question for you, David. With these midweek games, we're seeing a lot from the bullpen. What are your thoughts on relying on the bullpen and maybe some of the pitchers that we've been seeing? And are we comfortable relying with the bullpen in maybe some major games that are moving forward?
I've been very happy from what I've seen from the bullpen. That question is probably better for Bronny, but I definitely think we've seen. Look, this team has been excellent. Right, they had I had a fan yesterday talk to me about the UCLA game. It's a good friend of mine, actually. His name Brian. He's like, dude, that UCLA game was terrible. How embarrassing. I was like, hey, they won 2 of 3 that weekend. And I reminded him that UCLA was number 1. He's like, oh, they were number 1. I go, yeah. They're like legit good. And it was a bad day. And as Coach Early said here, sometimes you just got baseballed, right? So as for the bullpen, I think you've gotten everything you want from those guys. I think that there's going to be some more high leverage situations, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. But I think they're trending in the right direction there. Nick, have you seen anything from the bullpen that would make you feel otherwise? Nick Savage on TexAgs Live, by the way.
Sorry. I was in the middle of chewing. I'm sorry. No, but to me, these midweek games are kind of like...
They're tests, right?
Yeah, basically. Like Coach Early's trying to figure out what exactly he's got. And Hey. Kayla. Put her on camera. I didn't mean to. But yeah, it's just, Cole Tabor, he's a freshman, comes in, he does really well. I think they put Josh Stewart in a high leverage situation, if you want to call it that, yesterday. At least the highest leverage situation he's seen this year.
Yep.
A few runners on, and he was able to get out of it. So definitely, I mean, these midweek games are just opportunities for maybe some of these young guys to make a case for why they should be because they don't travel with the full team in SEC play, like make a case to get on the plane and go pitch in some big SEC series, and just a chance for some of these veterans too to get some valuable reps, and maybe like Josh Stewart's case, hadn't pitched since last year, so get ramped up and get ready to get into league play here soon.
What are we, a week away from, or a little bit more than a week away from SEC play? So it's here, guys. It is here.
Yeah, we have one tournament this weekend against Oakland. Oakland is currently 1-10, so we'll have a little bit of an easier schedule, I would say, this weekend, and then we go to Norman for first SEC games. I looked at some of our future ranked opponents. So based on week 4 of the D1 week 3 of the D1 baseball rankings, A&M is facing 8 ranked opponents, and only one of them is a midweek game against number 25 UTSA. So what are your thoughts going into SEC play? How do we think this team is going to match up against those ranked opponents?
I think after what happened last year, you need to get your confidence, and I think their confidence is certainly going in the right direction. This team last year, and I hate bringing up last year because last year, everything was about the year prior, right? And this year, everything's about last year. But this team started playing some of their best baseball. What was it? Maybe 2 or 3 series into the SEC play, Nick, right?
Yep.
And maybe after, and then they played great until the very end. And they were on their way to going to the NCAA tournament. So, look, get your confidence right. Get your, like Shane Sadeo. We've got to see him pitch a little bit more. He's looked really good. Let's see, now that he's had 3-4 starts under his belt, what that's going to look like come SEC play. I want to see what we get out of Weston Moss this weekend, right? That to me is going to be very important. We'll hit a break, talk about another team. What was Kay telling us, Nick, at the break? Or maybe, Kayla, you can tell me how many games they've won. What is it, 5 of 6? Is that right?
Oh, women's basketball?
Oh, I was talking more softball. But
softball. They won 5 of 6. Yes,
5 of 6
from this
over the
past
weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about them on the other side. Right now, I'm talking about Heritage Films. They're about preserving family stories that would otherwise be lost. My buddy Chance McLean runs that company. I don't like doing business with friends because I don't think it ever works out. But when it comes to a business like this, I can give a personal testimony because I know the man Chance, I know the business because I've done a heritage film. And everybody deserves a heritage film for their family. It can be about your entire family. It can be about your dad. It can be about your uncle. It can be about something that your family does, family weekend getaways, reunions. It could be about a bunch of buddies that play golf every weekend. Have Chance and his team do a 2-hour documentary about what's important to you and preserving that story for the future generations. He is amazing. He's an amazing storyteller. He's done all kinds of movies, and he's done radio stations, Broadway musicals, you name it. Call Chance up. I think you're going to love it. You'll talk to him about Aggie sports. You'll talk to him about life. You'll talk to him about Star Wars. He does it all. The phone number for Heritage Film, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Talk a little softball. Kay Nagley's in studio. We go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We talk to A&M softball head coach Trisha Ford here on the program. Trisha, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. You didn't make it into the studio last time, and today I'm not in there.
It's all good. I was covering the NFL.
She wanted you back last time. She was sick of me by the time
no
she
way.
got out of here.
No way. But I did miss you. And so I guess we'll start things off with the weekend. How do you take in the weekend? I know that the loss was in the front of your mind, but winning the 5 of the 6 and outscoring your opponents, what was it, 52-12? What was your big takeaway from the weekend itself?
Yeah, I think, we moved some players around, and I feel like we found just maybe our rhythm a little bit better. And then I thought that our pitchers, especially, Saturday and Sunday, really figured some things out, and I thought they pitched nicely. So I think hopefully we're moving in a good direction now.
Coach, I want to talk about some of the home run numbers. They've really jumped out at me. Y'all have 31 total so far, and Michaela Work had another one this weekend. She's at 9 now. Are you a little bit surprised at how productive they've been on that front or not? Like, this could have been what you'd expected.
No, I'm definitely surprised in a good way. The fall, I felt like we just had so many new pieces that just hadn't quite gotten comfortable offensively. And I feel like, we knew Work had the ability to do that. We knew Talon was going to be a high bat to ball kid. We have KK and Maya, but we just had to, like I said, just kind of find our rhythm. And, I feel like Work's just done a tremendous job and has really fit in here in Aggieland.
Coach, can I ask you about Sydney Lessentine, just her consistency so far, what you have seen from her?
Yeah, I think she's having a really good sophomore campaign. I think, had a couple tough breaks early on that we just didn't recover from. But I think, when you look at her on the mound, she's a very consistent thrower. I think she's learning and getting better on how to become a pitcher and not just a thrower. And then her ability to, she has 3 different speeds. And I think that's really what separates pitchers at this game, because the offense, it's such an offense game nowadays. And so you have to be able to disrupt timing. And I think that's what ultimately is going to make her, really successful moving forward.
Coach Kate Munnerlin achieved a rare feat this past weekend, pitching a perfect game. I know she didn't have the best outing the week before, so just how pleased were you with her response?
Yeah, I thought it was big. I think, anytime you throw a perfect game, like everything has to fall into place. And really, we put in a defensive replacement with Scout there the later innings, and Scout made a great catch at the end of the game. And that's usually what it looks like. I've been a part of a couple of perfect games. My last one was Marissa Schuld against Arizona, and our second baseman had to make just a phenomenal play in order to keep the perfect game going. And that's usually what happens. It's a team sport, but for Kate, I mean, it's a huge feat that not a lot of pitchers can say. Some people go through their whole career and don't throw a perfect game. So excited for her. And also, I looked at her and I said, this is what you're capable of doing. And so I just, told her, I'm like, if we can do this consistently, not the perfect game, but her executing her spot, being efficient, I think she can really, really help us.
Coach Ford, you've mentioned that this is a big week for your pitching staff. What specifically do you need to see from them before you head into SEC play?
Yeah, just consistency. I think, we had some tough conversations this last weekend, and I do really believe that we, as a unit, as a staff, they're one of the best in the country, and we just haven't put it all together. And I think that's where my frustration and their frustration, quite honestly, comes from. And so it's, being able to come in and do your job, whether you're a starter, a middle reliever, or, a closer, you got to be able to come in and when your number's called, go in there and do the things that you're really good at, because we've created this staff so that they can build upon each other. And so that's what's really important. I don't think we've necessarily done a great job, up to this point. So I felt like this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I saw some, glimpses of what I really think they could be. And then looking forward to this weekend, it's going to be kind of like a SEC series, we're scheduled we have some weather coming in, but, play basically 2 games against Texas State and 2 games against Tarleton.
Coach, on Sunday, Kelsey Mathis, I really feel like she went 2 for 3 against Louisiana, was a big part of y'all getting that win when you had previously lost the day before. Just how do you think she's come along so far?
Yeah, I think Kelsey, I think she does a great job for us in center field, and that's really her natural position. And I think just took a little bit of time to get going. And, we were trying to figure out things offensively, what gives us the most offense, but not hurting us on defense. And I thought that I was maybe giving too much up defensively for the offense. So we had to make some changes, and we moved AK to catcher and put Kelsey back in center field. And I think it's, you can kind of feel the team being like, okay, this fits well. I mean, this game, it's like playing music, and you're like, okay, is this the right tune? No, we got to keep tuning it up. So I think we're headed in the right direction, but it was nice to see her come out and have a great weekend.
Talking to Trisha Ford here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. What makes Maya so hard to get out? What is it about her in particular that just makes her such a hard out for opponents?
Yeah, I think, it's strike zone recognition. I think that's the biggest thing that any pitcher will tell you. When they don't swing at marginal pitches, it becomes a nightmare. And then she knows how to be on time. So she turns the barrel really deep, and it allows her to get to a lot of different pitches and be on plane with them. And so I think, those two combined with, obviously you have to have elite bat-to-ball skill, but she just does a really good job of not swinging at marginal pitches and then turning the barrel deep.
Coach, it feels like KK DeMent's kind of found her rhythm a little bit, gotten back into it, but I want to just talk defensively, your infield. How do you have, fair share of errors and things like that, but you were back on your home turf this weekend. I'm sure that was helpful. Just how do you think KK's come along, moving from second last year to short?
Yeah, I think she's done a tremendous job, and I agree. I think she's starting to find her rhythm in the box, and it's funny because when you look at her numbers, and I would be the first to tell you that she's, started off a little slow. She really hasn't, and so she finds a way to get on, and I think, the biggest thing that KK has had to work on and doesn't come naturally is her voice on the field, and she obviously has KP on the field, the infield, to help her through that, but Talon's playing second base and she's new. Work is playing first base. She's also new. And so I think just finding, that rhythm and also finding her voice. And, we always forget she's a sophomore, and so she's just kind of growing into her leadership skills. But I think KP has really helped her with that.
Coach Ford, I asked you about the pitching staff, but just overall, what do you want to see this weekend?
I want us to come out and play Aggie softball. I want us to be consistent for 7 innings each game. I want us to kind of put our foot on the gas pedal, get pitchers out of games early, often, make it hard, and then play clean defense. So, I think that's kind of what I always say, but I think for us to put it together for 4 complete games against, Texas State's a very good team. They've beaten Clemson already this year. They've got some arms. So, I think for us, it's our last tune-up before we hit the grind.
I want to talk in specific about Texas State. There's a handful of players on that team that Harley Vestal, Keely Williams, Ayanna Coleman, have been in Maroon and White before. So just what's that club going to bring? And I know their coach does a great job over there.
Yeah, well, I think they're also hitting 1, 2, 3 in their lineup as well. So, I think they're very talented players, and, obviously opportunities came elsewhere for them. And, but I think, they're a high talent group. And, I think Ricky, I talked about this, just does a tremendous job. Her teams are always gritty and finish in the top of some belts, if not, number 1. And I think AC is already, on the record book for her home runs. And, she's a College Station native. So, for us, it's, got to go out and execute our game plan and not worry about those things and play our game.
That is the great Trisha Ford here on TexAgs Live. Coach Ford, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck this weekend.
All right. Take care.
See ya. Trisha Ford there. In this really busy time of year, we were talking about, we were at the Combine last week. You're covering women's basketball. We've got softball going on, baseball. the basketball team, the track and field SEC championships were here this past weekend. So the TexAgs staff and A&M athletics was spread quite thin.
Yes, very busy week. Me and Callie were just talking in the back of like, we don't have weekends free. Where it's just you go. We were trying to hang out with friends. We're like, no time for that in March.
Well, and then next week you got the SEC basketball tournament. You've got that Olin and Luke will be going to. We got SEC play for both softball and baseball. Like it's just
ground running.
Yep.
Hit the ground running.
Awesome, Kate. Good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll hit a break. When we come back here on TexAgs Live, we'll get to your messages there on the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy text line. Right now, though, we're talking about Paragon Financial. And when it comes to your financial decisions, having the right advisor makes all the difference in the world. And Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors is an independent fiduciary working with clients across Texas, and they're focused on advice, not commissions or sales quotas. They have a team of 18 professionals. They have 8 CFPs and a CFA, and that level of experience helps ensure that your plan is built with care and clarity and a long-term perspective. Visit paragon-adv.com or give them a call, 979-693-3907, to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, so that win last night for A&M basketball, I think it means more than just, hey, that's that 10th win coming against Kentucky. It's you're going to be invited to the tournament. I think it can be a catalyst for this team in the future. What am I looking at on the Zoom one? What's going on?
I turned it off because I could tell it was distracting you.
But what are you doing? What are you working on?
I'm working on some technical stuff back here. I'm sorry. I distracted you.
It's okay. I'm curious what it was. It's like I just saw like it looked like a Blair Witch Project.
It was my phone. I was testing something on my phone.
Okay. As I was saying, I think it's not just that A&M basketball won, it's how they won the game. They're down 12. They're cold. They've lost 6 out of 8 games. They're just not looking like the team that we thought they were early on because they played a certain way. And it felt like the bubble was about to be burst for this team, like, not making the bubble and whatnot. But they dug in and they started, they just dominated Kentucky for that 27-3 run. I believe it was 41-11, 41-10, something like that, right? So they broke Kentucky in that game. You could say, well, how good is Kentucky? Kentucky's good. And at this point, I don't care how they come. I think that is a huge win, and they found something about who they are moving forward. So does this win, because again, the win that they had against Oklahoma, the win they had against Ole Miss, I didn't find it to be inspiring basketball. It was basketball, and they found a way to win, and sometimes that's all that matters. What I saw yesterday was inspiring basketball. I saw yesterday a team that played like the team that played against Alabama that lost. I saw a team that found they got back to their formula, that somehow they just kind of got lost in that trajectory. It's not like Ruben Dominguez suddenly became this better player. He's always been capable of what he did last night, but he wasn't shooting a lot, and when he was shooting, he was missing. Well, he locked in, he hit his shots, he was a catalyst, again, to use that word, in the big run. So to me, what it says about this team as we move forward, if that's the brand of and I'm not talking about always hitting 13 threes. I'm not always talking about, having Rylan Griffin with 21 points and Ruben with 17 and all these guys contribute. That's what we want, obviously. I'm talking about the brand of basketball that we saw. They took the fight to Kentucky. And if that's the A&M we get against LSU and beyond, if they get back to who they are, because I think that is more who they are than what we saw. Sure, the opponents were better as the season went on, and that exposed a little bit of A&M. But I think because they had a couple of bumps on the road, they got away from their real DNA, which is taking the game to their opponents. I fully expect A&M to take the game to LSU. I fully expect for A&M to go to the SEC tournament and get a couple of wins. I fully expect for A&M to not be a team that has to go to Dayton. I think they're going to go to the NCAA tournament. They're going to win a game or two, right? I feel that all off of one game. Ask me how I felt about the team when they were down 30-18. I was like, dude, the season's over. There's no plan. Look, I'm a freaking roller coaster, all right? What are you going to say, Nick? You're going to say something. I'm a roller coaster. I'm all over the place.
I wasn't. I just sat back down.
But you brought the mic and then you pushed it away.
I'm working, and now you're distracting me.
Who are you again?
Who am I?
Yeah.
The Blair Witch.
You're the man in the mirror, Nick. When we come back on TexAgs Live, sorry, the look you made afterwards, we are going to talk to Jason Howell. Jason Howell will talk about stuff, including recruiting and other stuff. That and more. You're listening to the world famous, the best value on radio and television and YouTube, TexAgs Live. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. American Momentum Bank is the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan College Station. They're committed to helping our community prosper by offering you a wide array of personal and business banking solutions specifically designed to help build financial success with confidence on your side. And with that, we go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Jason Howell is there. Jason, how are you, sir? Oh, fail. Oh. Who are we going to fire today, Kayla? Is that on you?
Back today. So.
Okay. I don't know. We'll get Jason figured out. Hopefully because we've got to ask questions about his man cave that he's building. We've got to ask questions about Cooper Witten, what happened there. We've got to, I know he's got a lot of combine takes because he texted me a couple of them last week. I don't know if the guys got to get to it whenever so we got a lot to get into. We've got the Under Armour camp. We've got the 7-on-7, the Houston battle. So we got a lot to get to with good old Jason. So hopefully we'll get to him in the next couple of minutes. While we wait, I believe there was a text or two that came in on the Catalyst Pure Performance text line, Pure Performance Energy, I should say.
Yes, we did have a text earlier when we were talking about the NFL, and this text said NFL is about opportunity, and it mentioned Hearns John Randall went undrafted, ended up in the NFL Hall of Fame, and a member of the all-time NFL team. So John Randall is from Hearn. He played defensive tackle for A&M Kingsville in 1988 and 1999. He went undrafted as a free agent. He played for the Minnesota Vikings 11 years and then signed with Seattle as a free agent. So it just goes to show that you can go to the NFL undrafted and still make it to the NFL Hall of Fame. He was class of 2010. Yeah,
that's true. That's what we say after the draft if it doesn't go as planned.
Right.
But right now, we're going to make our case for Cassius Howell to be a first rounder.
Exactly. And we have 13 Aggies that are hopefully going to be drafted, and we are wishing the best for them. And we want to see Cassius Howell go in the first round. But we're going to focus on NFL draft stuff after the fact. If, some of our Aggies don't go in, which we're hoping for all of them to go in the draft, you can always have opportunity in the NFL. And I like that comment showcased that.
There was another comment about basketball that came in. I think somebody was like, yeah, David, I was with you when it was 30-18. Do you have that one?
Yeah, it said that he was on the bus with you when it was 30-18.
And that's because I was like, the season's over. Look, I'm just really honest with you guys, unless I'm lying. And sometimes I lie. But I'm kidding. I don't sometimes lie. I always lie. But during a game, like I'm an emotional roller coaster where I'm all over the place. Afterwards, I'm usually like, it's kind of like, I don't know. You don't have kids, so you don't know. But
I'm not old enough for that.
Sometimes I have to walk away from anger to discipline kids, Richard Zane and Nick Savage, when I yell at them. I have to take a couple of minutes away in order to, sometimes I need a day to really take away the emotion, right? The emotion when it was 30-18 was, I don't want to watch the rest of this game. I know how this story goes.
It kind of felt like how February has been for basketball and the Aggies. It felt like you were like, oh, another game like this. We wanted Kentucky to work out so bad. Now it's 30-18.
But then they got the threes. Then and it's amazing what a little bit of confidence does for not only a player, because I think Ruben hitting that shot gave him the confidence he needed to be able to do it, but for the rest of the team. Because I think the entire team at that point started believing we're going to win this game. We're back to playing the brand of basketball that we know that we can do. I believe we're about to have Jason Howell on the phone on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. I see them calling him. This is my way of delaying. It looks like Jason Howell's just pressing do not disturb and don't answer. He's just against
Jason Howell's
answering.
hanging up on us.
He's just not taking the call. Let's see what it says. Voicemail. Way to go, Jason. My God.
I love Jason Howell.
All right. Well, I'm just going to keep tap dancing because I don't know what to talk about recruiting-wise because I didn't go to these camps, right? So the fact that I didn't go means I can't give you. All right. As I was trying to say, A&M basketball, you went the month of February wondering if the system was broken. The system was not broken. The belief was broken. And I think the belief is back. We will see what happens the rest of the way. Now we get Jason Howell on the phone line. Why did you press do not disturb or ignore, Jason? That was very rude.
Well, yeah, let's just, as soon as I was put on the Zoom and everything, I could see you guys. Y'all couldn't hear me, I guess, or interact. But, and then the phone, I went to get to everything, and then I got some kind of Facebook. They wanted all the access to all my stuff, and I was like, I don't want that. But then it wouldn't go away. So, old man technology problems, and y'all were calling me.
Wait.
And,
were you multitasking?
Yeah.
Were you like, I'm about to take this call, but I got to check my Facebook memories, and all this opportunity opened up about sharing my content? Like, what? How does both things happen at the same time, Jason? Tell me more.
It's more about me just picking up my phone with fat fingers and old man technology mind, and chaos happening. That's what happened there. So everything just happened all at once, and now I think Facebook's got access to my firstborn. So
this is true.
You know.
And they're listening to you at all times. So you'll probably get a TexAgs ad here later. Hey, Jason, I know that you're a big Super Bowl guy and a big combine guy because of all these guys that you have covered throughout the years from when they were middle school to high school to the college ranks. What was your takeaway from the combine last week?
First off, Eli Stowers, who could have seen that coming? He's a crazy athletic guy. That's seeing him, do what he did, and just really set the combine on fire. That was a lot of fun for me to see as a guy that's covered him closely all through high school. And but yeah, 7-foot high jump champion as a sophomore. So yeah, I was not surprised by his crazy vertical and broad jumps. But overall, I mean, I thought everything came out about as like we thought it would. We had KC doing everything that he looked spectacular. The questions were the questions with Cassius, and I think I agree that with a lot of people that these numbers and these evaluations they're fresh on everybody's mind right now, but eventually it all leads back to the tape and whether or not you can play some football, and I think that's going to ultimately win out, and I'll be surprised, especially with the demand of edge rushers, if he slips very far in the draft, if at all, when it really comes down to it. It was just fun though for me digging into all the numbers. Albert Regis, I mean, we saw him have a spectacular day. That was not. I don't think anybody had him down as somebody to stand out, but it's also not surprising. I mean, he was such an athletic freak. I know Elko talked about watching him as an H-back tight end, and a guy that played both sides of the ball in high school. Seeing him come out and showcase those abilities was you see the speed and quickness and the twitch and power that he brings to the table, especially as an interior guy. That's going to make him somebody that a lot of teams are going to latch on to, maybe not day one, but definitely a guy that people want to watch. But I also enjoy some of the storylines, like some of the guys that were no stars coming out of Texas high school football ranks and ended up at the combine. I think there were 5 that came out of high school with 0 stars and few offers. One of those, Charles Deming from Mesquite Horn. I'll be honest, I've covered Mesquite Horn just about every class that's come out of there for the last 10, 15 years. I don't remember Charles Deming. And to see him go out there, see what he's done at SFA, and what he did at the combine, that's awesome. He deserves his opportunity for sure, and he's earning his place at the table. He had a phenomenal combine, but you got guys like Josh Cameron and Michael Taff and Fabeki Nwewu, who were 3 walk-ons. They didn't go to college on scholarships, and this was before all the NIL and all that stuff. Before that really kicked in to help those guys who weren't on scholarships. These were guys that walked on and have made their way from walk-on status to future NFL futures, and it's awesome to see it.
All right, let's talk about Cooper Witten. Nobody was surprised. So kind of take me through, his dad obviously takes the job there. It seems like they got the momentum. The recruiting window was still open. They were open to opportunities. Ultimately, was it just the lure of his dad being there too much, you think, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma's always been up there. Even before his dad took the job, Venables and that defense and the plan and the culture around that program had his attention. And when his dad took the job, obviously, that definitely made the Sooners a team to watch. I know A&M was also very high up there on his list. Of course, Tennessee was a school to watch, but A&M, there was a lot of talk that, he wanted to have a little bit of a process. He wanted to not just follow, and his dad, he wanted to make up his own mind and not just, follow his dad or have his decision made up for him. And I think there's some real truth to that. And he took a visit to A&M in January, and I think just after thinking things through, and that it was just too hard to resist the opportunity to go up to Norman and play for a coach that he already had a high level of interest and a great relationship with, and be there with his dad. I mean, that was an opportunity he couldn't say no to. So, I don't think it's too surprising. But A&M, they had a real chance there at one point in time, and but I think that one's pretty much in the books, and it kind of takes that question off the board for A&M, whether or not hey, Cooper saying he wants to explore his own options and make his own path, and he's a phenomenal prospect. He's a 5-star by a lot of ranking services for a reason, and you can't just say no to that. But now that he's made his decision, you can focus more intently on a lot of other options like Caden Henderson and Noah Glover and J.B. Smith and some of those other guys out there that you're taking a look at that are coming in on spring visits, and you don't have that what if with Witten.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. Sorry, the what if is taken out of it, but they're not going to completely go away from it, right?
Well, I mean, you don't close the door, but he's made his choice, and I'm sure there were conversations with A&M staff, knowing their family and knowing how they've handled the recruiting process. But I wouldn't say you move on, but you shift your focus for sure. You make you hone in on the guys who want to be recruited, and those are all very highly touted guys that I mentioned. Those are nationally sought All-Americans with a lot of options, and A&M is very much a player for all of those guys, and so you hone in and you focus on those guys, and if Witten wants to come back around and that door opens again, then maybe. But I don't think that's one that I see A&M continuing to actively press on. You know what I mean? And just they're not going to go away, and shut off all communication, I'm sure. But I think the focus is going to be elsewhere.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Jason, let's talk about the Under Armour camp, and some of the standouts, and maybe some areas where A&M might be making some traction.
Yeah, I got to say, right off the bat, Sherrod Baker, DeSoto had a phenomenal camp. One-on-ones, he tested really well and really opened some eyes. I mean, if your eyes weren't open to Sherrod Baker before the camp, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, he's coming off a phenomenal season. Took home running back MVP in a pretty stacked group of running backs, and showed his versatility and as a receiver, and just how he runs routes and sets things up, and he can be a versatile playmaker out of the backfield, and which, I mean, he's a guy that was our third leading receiver as a sophomore, and then last year he focused more as a running back, but he's been a versatile piece there at DeSoto throughout his career, yeah, I want to say Brian Swanson had a big day. He's a guy that A&M is in on. He right now I'd give the edge to Texas with Oklahoma probably running second. But he's continuing to talk to the Aggies. He's looking at official visit, but he had a phenomenal day. Took home O-line MVP honors. I thought Peyton Miller had a really good day. Interior offensive lineman out of Anna. He'd been on A&M's board, but he's more of a true center type, and he put together a really good camp. James Foster, 28 DB out of Lancaster, showed really well. Brenda Jackson really caught my attention out there, doing some big things in the passing game. A lot of real concentration. Jeremiah Douglas, Vanderbilt commit out of Crandall in the 27 class, did what he does. Man, he's just a technician with the routes, and he created separation and was a guy that I thought really showed strong. And then with John Meredith, I didn't see a whole lot of one-on-ones out of him, but through the testing phase, I thought he was phenomenal. Just watching him attack each set, each little session, each little stop on the circuit. He was going all out, not holding anything back, and in drills he was going hard. I know he wanted to come out and kind of set the tone and help, set an example for some of those younger guys going through things. But there was a lot of good chatter there with A&M with him, and he didn't really talk specifics on visits and all that stuff. But A&M's very much well positioned there. Look for him to make a visit in the spring, and we'll see what happens with the official visit dates and everything. But at A&M, we've said it for a long time. A&M's very high on his list, and he is, had his eye on A&M from the very beginning. BGA getting that position there, cornerback coach definitely continues that momentum that A&M's had over the last year or so, and I look for that to continue. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a dogfight there, but I like where A&M's at right in that race with Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, kind of the other main players being mentioned.
All right, let's hit a break. Touch on the Houston battle. We've got some upcoming spring recruiting to chat about, and the Rivals camp, all that and more with Jason Howell when we get back here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. We'll do that right now. Talking about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. At Caldwell Country Chevrolet, they don't just sell cars. They build relationships that last a long, long time. They're very strong and committed sales staff, and they want to make sure they guide you through the entire process, every step by step, from the test drive to the final paperwork. And their services don't stop after the sale. You know about their complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They are proud supporters of Aggie athletics, local charities. They've invested in this great community. And I want you to experience what it's like to do business with a dealership who cares, where a handshake still means something and customer satisfaction goes a long, long way. It's not just a slogan, it is a promise. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. We'll be back here on TexAgs Live, Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. We go back to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Jason Howell continuing through. Jason, all right, you had the Under Armour camp, the Houston battle as well, correct?
Yes, Kay Drawn was out there at the battle camp there at Houston. I got to see wide receiver Dakota Garant, a big-time 2027 wide receiver who's had A&M pretty high on his list. Visited in the fall. But he was kind of the big 2027 guy out there as far as A&M targets. And he talked highly about Holman Wiggins and the coaches and the atmosphere and the vibe he felt out there. In Aggie land when he was in town, and he's planning to get back this spring with Oregon, Ohio State, and a few other schools pretty high on his list and on his visit plans. But he caught up with several 2028s. We've got some really good notes from him. Definitely get on the site, check it out. A&M had a few visitors over the weekend from the group. You had some big out-of-state guys, Bergen Catholic, New Jersey, a couple twins, the Woodard twins were in town. You had big offensive tackle who was in town as one of those. They like to bring those big offensive linemen out to be a center or whatever at some of those 7-on-7 deals. And you had big Antoine Wilkes who is out at Cass Tech, and he was in town. He made his way over to College Station as well, and in-state. I know we got some notes on Jalen Adai and Royce Bimage, two of the top 2028s that have been to A&M a few times and are looking to get back this spring as well. So he had some really good notes just on from the performances to the visit plans, recruiting notes. Definitely want to get out on the site and check those out. And then, of course, we also had some other visitor notes that we've been posting. Taylor Mayo, a 27 cornerback that out of Louisville we're watching. He's got A&M plans for early April, and LSU, Texas, Florida State, a few other schools, and definitely in his plans as well. A couple underclassmen planning to make their way to Aggie land. I know Ty McCurry, at 2028, offensive lineman out of South Lake Carroll, just tweeted out that he's excited to get back to College Station. Didn't have a date, but just got the invitation and is making plans to get out to College Station as well. So it's going to be setting up to be a busy spring, and that dead period ended at the start of March, and you got spring break coming up, and then you go right into spring ball. I think you got a week, and then you go right into spring ball there, and then you're going to see a lot of visit weekends start to happen, and a lot of top prospects make their way to College Station.
Well, give us some things to look ahead to. So we got the Rivals Camp this weekend. What are some other landmarks along with that we can look ahead to?
So Cade will be there at the Rivals Camp there in Houston. He's also got End Zone 7-on-7. I'll be at the Pylon Camp this weekend, or 7-on-7 deal in Dallas. I know I've got a big O-line, D-line camp coming up at the end of March. We've got Elite 11 in Dallas. I think the Sunday is on March 15th, Euless Trinity. So there's going to be quite a bit going on camp-wise and visit-wise and 7-on-7. So we'll get the chance to see a lot of these guys in action, a lot of A&M targets. And I know me, Cade, and we'll see what happens with baseball and what that schedule looks like for Bronny. But I know the recruiting team's going to be out and about and hitting a lot of camps and be covering a lot of recruiting weekends with spring ball starting March 20th and going all the way through April 18th. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Good stuff, Jason. I appreciate your time, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Anytime. Thank you.
That is Jason Howell on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Before we hit a break, I'm just going to ask this committee of TexAgers, Nick, Caleb, have you guys noticed, and you're probably not on Facebook very much. I'm not on Facebook much. I can't imagine Nick's ever on Facebook.
Only to sell stuff.
You go to Facebook Marketplace?
To sell stuff, yeah.
What do you try to sell? Like battery packs?
Stuff I want to get rid of.
Okay. You don't believe in donating to shelters?
Well, it's like gym equipment.
Oh, okay.
So
well, you can donate that to David Nuño. Anyway, have you noticed on social media platforms, not just Facebook, that there's like Aggie accounts that like tweet
the AI stuff?
But they also do like fake quotes from people.
Yes,
I
have
love
seen
those. They're my favorite.
I've seen that on Facebook actually.
A lot, right?
Yes,
Like
I have.
I don't know if this bite from Coach Elko is true about the whole Casey Concepcion thing. About the why are you smiling there?
I remember one not too long ago. It was like Mike Tomlin was coming to coach at A&M.
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, so stupid. This particular one has a quote from Coach Elko about the criticism that he caught after. By the way, two things, and I think Shireen agreed with me. There's one guy who tweeted, and his name is Don something on Twitter. He's like an NFL guy.
Yeah, he's just an engagement farmer.
He's an engagement loser, okay? Like, he is part of the fake media that goes to the combine. He'll choose, like, he chose something, you could see the sadness in this player. There was a guy that he put a video of, a running back who only had 2 media members.
Oh, yes.
Did you see that one?
See that.
And he's like, you could see the sadness in his eyes. No, you can't.
Well, what that was, too, it's like he frames it so wrong. It was probably the case where he was late because of his physicals or something, and everyone was gone.
Yeah.
And so he comes out at like 4 o'clock, and there's no one left to interview him. So that's why no one was there.
Yeah, but that guy, like Don Corleone's brother, Don Fake Leone, they do this. So this one, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Elko made a quote like this, because I'll be honest with you, I'm disappointed. Not surprised, but disappointed. When asked about the wave of criticism at Casey Concepcion. He may have said it, but I don't think he's done media since he was
Are there any dashes?
No dots or a dash.
No, no dashes. Okay, that's usually like a telltale sign.
Because the dashes are the telltale sign of AI, of ChatGPT writing.
Okay, ChatGPT does dashes.
Yes,
I did not know that. Okay, I don't ChatGPT it very often. Apparently, they have ads now. I just found that to be weird. Like, he may have said this. I don't know if he, but I'm usually aware if Coach Elko has quotes, because usually he tells TexAgs or is a press conference or he's on a national. And I don't think he's been on. But this is not the first time. There's reports about people dying. There's reports about people entering the portal. There's fake reports about Marcel Reed said this and did that and went here. Like, stop being a loser. That's my live spot for this segment. We'll come back with Kendall Rogers. Take that. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Talk to Kendall Rogers, D1Baseball, our buddy. Kendall, good morning, buddy. How are you? Oh, bro. It's that freaking show. Kendall.
There we go. I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
It sounds like I had you on mute. I'm sorry about that.
All good. It's been one of those shows. Hey, so what was your big takeaway from the weekend for the Aggies? I don't think you were in Arlington, right? You went to Houston?
No, I was in Houston. We had an Aaron Fit in Arlington. But, I think my biggest takeaway is if you would have told Mike Early that you don't have Wesley Jordan, you have Chris Hacopian, what was it, one at bat that he had? And it was a home run. He might have had a second one. But at any rate, you don't have Chris Hacopian for pretty much the whole weekend, and you still go 2-1. I mean, that is a very successful weekend, especially considering you dominated Virginia Tech and then you dominated Arizona State in the final game. Obviously, you have the stinker against UCLA, but I think we're finding out that UCLA is pretty good. So to not have those two guys and have that kind of weekend, I've got to be honest, I'm feeling pretty good about this team right now. They're going out and taking care of business in the midweek. You're not seeing lapses during the midweek. This team is checking some boxes, that's for sure.
So am I right in saying they look different, like the way they go about their business? There's something different about this year's team?
I think everything's different. I think we all thought that when they brought in Cliff Pennington, it would clean up some of the defensive issues. I think it's done that. Mike and Cliff would say it's not perfect, but it's better. I would say this, and you and I talked about this several weeks ago. I would say, with every interview that you see with Coach Early after games, I think he's a lot more confident in what he is as a head coach and what he's looking for as a coach. I thought his presser the other day after the UCLA game was actually really good. I like the messaging there. So I think from him to the defense, you're seeing better bats. You're just seeing a team that like has an identity. Whereas I felt like last year, because of injuries and some other things, I didn't feel like that team ever really had an identity. It was just kind of like they showed up one day, pitched really well, not to cover up the ball. The next day, it was a totally different team. I kind of feel like this team's been pretty consistent on what they are.
Talking to Kendall Rogers here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So what about this Jake Dewar situation? The guy's been doing it, excuse me for using an OB term there, but have you been surprised at the way he's played so far?
I'm a little surprised at how much of a transition he's made already. If you go back and look at what he did last year at FAU, he was a very, very good hitter, bat-to-ball guy when he was healthy. He had that injury that kind of set him back a little bit. But he had a really good average and made very good contact last year at FAU. What I think he's doing a little bit better this year is he's certainly, put on some strength and is hitting for a little bit more power. And so you're getting a guy that, now you're looking at almost 2.5 seasons of a very good track record of being a very consistent hitter. And now he's hitting for more power. I love the fact that in 44 at-bats, he has 3 strikeouts. So, yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a little bit surprised he's been this good, but I thought he'd be a pretty good addition, and that's why we kind of had him rated relatively high in terms of our transfers over the summer.
Talking to Kendall Rogers here on TexAgs Live. All right, so if there was something that maybe has caught your attention to keep your eye on, that you're not completely convinced yet, and of course there's levels to this, right? They're not obviously UCLA at this point, but what is something that you're still like, I got to see more of this?
Yeah, I think for me it's twofold, and again, I don't want to put the onus on two guys in particular, but I do think if you're A&M and you want to reach your goals, Bear Harrison has to be better offensively. I think we would all agree with that. I think he's hitting 167 right now. Honestly, hasn't hit for much power. And to me, if you're a guy like him with that kind of size and strength, if you're not going to hit for high average, like you need to hit for some power. So I think that's one question mark for me. And I think when you look at Weston Moss, I don't think he's been really bad. I think UCLA is just really good, but I do think he could be better. I watched the game the other night. It felt like on some of his pitches, it was almost like he's kind of fallen off the mound a little bit. He didn't look super comfortable. So I think for Weston Moss, as you get closer to conference play, he needs to get a little bit more of a comfort zone, because otherwise I feel pretty good about this pitching staff. I feel like, JK staff is ahead of schedule. It's just, I think Weston Moss needs to be better if this team, has Omaha aspirations, and frankly, with this talent, has championship aspirations.
Kendall, I think about what's still ahead, right? Like, obviously, they want to have a great weekend and get to SEC play. But I feel like the start of the season this year has to be different, or at least SEC play has to feel different than last year. Last year couldn't have gone any worse to start SEC play. But for a team that's still trying to find who they are, at least in this season, how important is it to start SEC play on the right foot?
I think it's important. Frankly, I think the most important thing is not only, try to win those games, but like, how are you playing? Like, if you go out against Georgia in a couple weekends, or against Oklahoma, Georgia's the second weekend. But if you go to Oklahoma in a couple weekends, and let's say you lose 2 out of 3 on the road, which typically is going to happen in the SEC, unless you get a little bit lucky. But let's just say you lose 2 out of 3, but it's a really hard-fought series against a really good team. I think you come out of that weekend feeling pretty good about your team. I think it's all about how this team plays. Like, how, take the other team away from it. How do, we play if you're A&M? And so I feel much better about this team than I did about last year's team at this point. I think if you look back at last year, I think we all kind of saw warning signs pretty early last year, whether it's from injuries or some games being a little bit too close for comfort against some bad teams. I just think the vibe is totally different, and I think we kind of found out a lot about this club, and I think Mike kind of pinpointed this after the game against UCLA. He kind of wanted to see how his guys responded, and I think we all saw how they responded against what I think wound up being a really good ASU team, and A&M went out there and dominated them.
Is there a team, and I was reading D1Baseball this morning, so I'm kind of got a goal with this, but is there a team that is undefeated so far that has kind of caught your attention, like, okay, they're doing something different there?
Yeah, Texas and USC are now the only 2 undefeated teams in college baseball. And I'll touch on those 2 teams real quick just because there is a common denominator there. Both of them have elite pitching. USC has one of the top, kind of rising prospects in the country in Mason Edwards. Grant Govil, threw a no-hitter opening weekend and then almost threw a no-hitter last weekend again against Cal Poly. So they've been really good on the mound. And then, of course, Texas, they've been really good on the mound, too. I think them and Florida probably have the 2 deepest pitching staffs in college baseball. It's like both those teams are just rolling out like 95, like 97 with every arm they have. So I think the common denominator with both those teams right now is just really good pitching.
New Mexico, I think they lost last night. I might be wrong, but they've started off really hot, too, correct?
New Mexico was sizzling hot. They lost to New Mexico State last night. But what's kind of cool about their program, Todd Brown's team, is New Mexico and frankly in MSU, historically when they're really good, you look at their offensive numbers, and because of elevation and environmental conditions, like their home run numbers are way overinflated. But when you look at New Mexico this year, they're actually doing it with doubles and singles and things like that with pitching. And so it's kind of cool to watch them do so well because they're not doing it the way they historically do it.
I know we already talked a little bit about what UCLA did against A&M, but what does it say about them that they not only did it to A&M, they took care of business against Tennessee, and obviously their ranking is deserved where they are, but has anything about the way they've played so far caught your attention?
Yeah, Nuño, I know you're a big vibe guy. I think the vibes with UCLA are really good. I think if you look at that team, the way they came out, again, if you're an A&M fan, you hate to see it, but the way they came out and kind of punched A&M, the way they came out and frankly punched everybody over the weekend, I thought was just super impressive. They're down to their final strike against Mississippi State, who's also an elite team, and Rob Chalowski hits a 2-run home run. I don't know why you're throwing a fastball to him in that situation, but we can talk about that later. But just the way they came back in that game, I think they're feeling it. They're an older team. Again, like 85% of the roster, 90% of the roster was in Omaha last year. This is a team that it is national championship or bust, and it's also a team, by the way, that has elite talent. The other thing I do like about UCLA, though, is you look at, whether it's Florida or LSU or frankly, even A&M the year that they were, national runner-up, is those SEC teams, historically, their pitching staff, their pitching staff are just loaded with guys throwing 97. The thing I think is really cool about UCLA is, they have some of those guys. There's no doubt about that. But John Savage also, with Michael Barnett and Landon Stump, also has some elite arms that are kind of your throwbacks. They're 90-92 with just really good, feel for the zone and really good feel for the secondary stuff. So I love the fact that UCLA has a lot of different looks in the mound, and I just don't think there's a weak spot in that lineup. I mean, Will Gasparino, the national leader in home runs, hit 8 the entire weekend for the Bruins.
Kendall, Florida, they've won 12 straight. I know there was a little hiccup to start their season. Pitching's been significantly better, though, correct?
There's no doubt. Yeah, Kevin O'Sullivan, I warned people this after the fall. He kind of had some, personal stuff off the field that had to be dealt with. I thought he came back just really zeroed in. And I told people, I said, hey, man, if Sully is dialed in, watch out. And Florida is a watch-out team right now. Liam Peterson, struggled opening weekend. He's an elite prospect who just has had a lot of commanding issues, even dating back to when he pitched against A&M 2 years ago in Omaha. But, first outing, not very good against UAB. But the last 2 outings, I want to say he struck out 20 batters in the last 2 outings, and that was against Kennesaw State and against Miami on the road. So you give him a lot of credit for doing that against Miami on the road. So you had him on the front end, Aiden King and then Jackson Barbary on the back end of that bullpen. I mean, he was sitting 99 to 100 the other night for 3 innings against Miami. So, again, Florida, just an embarrassment of riches pitching-wise. I do think there's some teams out there better than them offensively. I mean, Brendan Lawson is certainly an elite slugger, but, I don't feel like their offense is quite as kind of deadly as they typically are, but, boy, they can really pitch.
Kendall, great stuff as always, buddy. Talk to you next week.
You got it. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks.
See you, man. Kendall Rogers on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. When we come back, we're going to go around Aggie Land, and we're going to find out what's popping on TexAgs today. That and more. Actually, that's probably it. It's TexAgs Live. The world's been asking for more around Aggieland. We might do it daily. Kaylee Dreyer is here over at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone area. The chairs aren't out. Miss Dreyer, what do you have for us on the world famous, most anticipated around Aggieland?
Well, there's a lot of stuff obviously been happening around Aggieland, but starting on the hardwood. Last night, the Aggie men's basketball team pulled out a big win against Kentucky, 96-85. They shot 13 of 28 from three, which is the best in SEC play so far, and 7 of 11 of those came in the second half. Rylan Griffin and Ruben Dominguez were crucial parts in this game. Rylan finished with 21 points, while Ruben finished with 17. And the Aggies will close out their season in Baton Rouge on Saturday against the LSU Tigers before they head to Nashville for the SEC tournament. And continuing on with great basketball, the women closed out their regular season with 2 big wins over Mississippi State and a road win at number 19 Ole Miss. The Aggies finished their season on a 5-game winning streak. They have won 6 of their last 7 games, which boosted their NCAA tournament resume with 3 ranked wins and a top 5 strength of schedule. The girls will take on Auburn today in the SEC tournament. And moving on to baseball, number 22 Texas A&M rolled past UIW last night, 11-1, racking up 12 hits in a 7-inning run rule. Juan Vargas earned the win in his first career start, and Josh Stewart earned his first career save, finishing the game, striking out 4 batters in 1.1 innings pitched. And then lastly, Texas A&M track and field hosted the SEC Indoor Championships this past weekend. The men finished in third with 66.2 points behind Ole Miss and Arkansas, while the women finished in 7th with 51 points. Peter Narumbe continued A&M's tradition in the 800-meter, winning gold as his victory marked the 9th gold medal in the last 11 indoor championships.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's find out what's on TexAgs today, the other world-famous segment. Kayla, what do you have for
Well,
on
first
TexAgs?
and foremost, if you haven't already, it's a great time to become a TexAgs premium subscriber because you can get full access to all types of content across our TexAgs platform. To become a premium subscriber, visit texags.com/subscribe. And now for On TexAgs today, we have a basketball recap from OB. We have a rapid reaction and 5 thoughts about last night's win by Luke Evangelist. We have some highlights from basketball by Cade Bickham. We also have Richard Zane's baseball recap that is sponsored by Double Dave's. Kay Nagley was on the pass back talking about how far Aggie women's basketball can go. And we have an NIL interview from freshman quarterback Helaman Kasuga on the site. And then later today, we're going to have some more basketball content. We're going to have women's basketball coverage. We're going to have some softball coverage. And we're going to have NIL interviews with Rylan Griffin, Michaela Wark, Mike Brown, and freshman linebacker Quebec.
That's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.